Hi,
Hi. Can
good
you
morning, or good evening or afternoon for you.
Good afternoon, it's 5 p.m. here, and is it 10 a.m. with you?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's morning time.
thank
So
you so much for talking to me.
sure. Yeah, it's great to connect with you, and I appreciate you reaching out and wanting to chat. Yeah, it's fun.
Oh, well, there's so many things to chat about.
I know.
Obviously, I mean, your history I mean, the records you've broken and the things that you've done is just astonishing. But also what you're planning with Lululemon and this exciting new further initiative with them, and of course talking about trail running versus ultra running. I think we should start with that because I'm fascinated to hear your thoughts on it, and because I don't think the differences are so much highlighted in the UK. So I'd love to hear what it's like over in the US. So yeah, how are you anyway?
Yeah.
Let's start with, are you well, and are you training for anything at the moment?
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for connecting with me. I'm training for our Lululemon Further 6 day event and starting on March 6th. So yeah, that's kind of I guess that's like 6 weeks away now. Let me change my mic here just a moment. I think that might be a bit better. It's a bit echoey. Um so
What,
yeah,
what
I'm in.
what will you do for that? What are you planning to do on those 6 days?
So I mean the whole point of it is for all of us. We have a women's team of 10 women, and we're all trying to go our furthest distance that we've ever gone. So for me, my furthest distance is my 48-hour world record, which is 270 miles or 435 kilometers for my metric friends. So yeah, going for 6 days. I mean, obviously I know what the women's world record is, and I'd love to aim for that, but I've got much higher goals than that. I want to try and see if it's possible for me to continue to close the gender gap to the men's world records. And so when I did my 48-hour world record, I closed the gap to 8% off of the men's world record. And most world records have a differential of about 10 to 12%. So for me to go further than I've ever gone and close it down to 8%, I mean, that really helps to, support the theory that women get stronger the further we go.
Yeah.
And so it's exciting. It's exciting, like how far, what's going to happen? Like, how far do I need to go, for that possibility of closing the gap to the men's world record. So it's exciting. I mean, it's exciting for me, but it's also exciting for, how this is going to change, women's mindsets and their perspectives. And, I want to do what I can to help grow the sport and, for more women to try ultra running and trail running and, to push their human limits. So, I mean, this is like a dream come true, really. I mean, I think so much is going to come from this and, how it's going to elevate the sport and for women.
Okay. Oh, well, that's amazing. And so what's your strategy? Are you planning on running continuously for as long as possible or break it up into chunks over the 6 days? Is there a 6 day world record, or are you just going for the furthest ever run, full stop? I mean,
Yeah.
how's that going to work?
Yeah, great question. So I mean, I obviously when you're running, the shorter events, like you're pretty much running continuously and you're just going as fast as you can for that distance. But what I found when I went for 48 hours last year is that it becomes more strategic, going for those multi-day world records and such. And so you kind of have to think of yourself as being like a battery
Yeah.
almost, and that you're trying not to let your battery get run down, and so you're always trying to, like, kind of recharge your battery and keep it, like, above 50%.
Okay.
And so, yeah, you kinda have to, like, incorporate, like, bits of sleep, and, obviously, you're trying to, top off your energy and keep your energy up. And so yeah, it's kind of fun to look at the graph of my 48-hour world record because you can see like these little dips that I had throughout the race where,
Yeah.
I might be sleeping, I might be like changing my shoes or my gear, or, eating some food. And so, so yeah, going for 6 days is going to kind of be, three times that distance. And, it becomes more important the further you go to really focus on sleep and taking care of
Oh,
yourself, trying to keep your body healthy and trying to keep it together. So,
okay.
I mean, for me, I'm such a like mental geek.
I
I
think
love to use my
that's an amazing way to put it, and to the way you've said to me, as a battery. I mean, that's just instantly given me a fantastic visual of yeah, because you don't want to go below a certain point because you won't be able to recharge.
exactly.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think you could apply that to so many things, couldn't you?
Yeah, yeah. I bought a book. Actually, I did. I'm sorry, I didn't buy it. I got it for my friend. But I ended up buying a second copy because I've got my other copy in storage right now. But I have a book. I have a book on that I originally got from my friend from France. That's a multi-day runner, and yeah, I mean, me coming from the marathon, I'm thinking when I go for a world record, I have to run. I have to keep running. I don't like stop. And so I had to change my mental strategy. And so this book, helped wrap my head around, the strategy of it, of thinking of myself as a battery. And I can't let my battery get run down too much, that I have to be like very thoughtful and strategic with how, I keep recharging myself, kind of like the Energizer bunny.
Yeah. That's
So
fantastic. And so, well,
yeah.
while we're on this, so the other 9 ladies, are they all going for different records? Is it all running, or how does it work?
Yeah, yeah. So our team is pretty diverse in terms of like age and abilities and geographical diversity around the world. And so yeah, I mean we come from all different backgrounds. We're not all like elite runners. I mean, we've got 4 women over the age of 40, which, as a professional athlete, that's pretty cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And then, I've been vocal about talking about perimenopause. I mean, I'm 42 now and I'm starting to feel those changes in my body. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to figure out, how to work with my body at this point in my life and, continue to push my own human limits. But yeah, coming from different, ability levels. I mean, we've got Myrna, my teammate Myrna, that her furthest distance that she's gone is 120 miles that she did in I think it was the Trans Rockies race in Colorado.
Yeah.
And so yeah, doing a 6 day event, she's going to be trying to go her furthest distance, which is, beyond 120 miles. But yeah, I mean, we've got other women on the team that might be trying to go for like qualifiers for like 24-hour team or 100K or yeah, I mean, we're all just, we're trying to change the mindset of, going further, pushing your human limits. And yeah, just, that mindset shifting over to, every runner in the world or every walker.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people just like to walk too. So
And it's showing women that you can do anything you put your mind to. That
totally.
there's no boundaries because you're a woman.
Yeah, exactly. I've been using the hashtag no woman is limited.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we just think, that, I mean, yeah, I think as a woman that we tend to put, a lot more barriers, around us, and that we need to think with the mindset of, having no barriers, having no limits on what we can do. And I mean, it's been exciting for me. Like every time I've gone my furthest distance, you're going into this like unknown territory of like, what's going to happen now? Like, what are the challenges I'm going to experience? And yeah, I mentioned I'm such a mental geek that, it's like anytime I get some sort of problem I have to troubleshoot, it's like almost kind of exciting. Like let's work through this and let's keep
You
going.
like the challenge, and yeah, what's next?
Yeah. Yeah, what's next? And yeah, I mean it was so fun for me when I did the 48-hour world record because I kept going further. I kept moving up the performance list, all time. And that was exciting because I'm like, no woman has done this before. Like this is like new territory. So yeah, I mean, and I think, when I'm doing something like that, that I'm it's not just about reaching a personal goal. I realize like I'm creating history for the sport. sport and for women and what's possible. And yeah, I mean, I have sheroes in my life that, you know, inspired me to do what I do. And so, yeah, I mean, it's cool to think that, you know, I'm inspiring others around the world. And yeah, I mean, that helps to propel me to keep going
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
feel like it's
And
such a transcendental experience.
and yet you do also, you're very humble. You know, I love your video on Twitter showing about, you know, if you fall over, you get up and you keep going. And that's, you know, that is just as important as showing that you can, you know, run you know, break the world record for 48 hours. You know, obviously that's out of reach for anyone else, but actually seeing someone fall over and get up and keep going is, you know,
It was a
we
bad
all
fall.
relate to that.
It was a really bad fall. I tell you, you know, and I think something we need to normalize is, you know, sometimes you fall, you get back up, you get to the finish line. Sometimes you fall, you get back up, and you realize you're badly injured and you can't get to the finish line. And I think, you know, that we have to make the right decisions for ourselves and our own judgment. And, you know, whether we get to the finish line or not, I think the point is to like keep getting back up.
Yeah.
Keep getting back up and don't give up on your dreams because I mean it took me several tries, you know, even for 48 hours to finally get it right. I had, you know, my body broke down a couple of times in previous races and you know, I just kept believing that I could do it and to get back on that horse and to keep going. So yeah, don't give up on your dreams. I mean, that's something that, you know, just try to, you know, share with others. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's sometimes it doesn't work out, but I mean, it might take you 10 times, 15 times to keep doing it, but
Just
just keep doing
trying.
it.
Keep trying. Okay, so let's talk about trail running versus ultra running. You said to me that you feel that that in the US for sure they're lumped together, but they're a very different sport. So talk me through that and how it's perceived over in the US.
Yeah, yeah. So so my friend Grayson Murphy, who won the World Mountain Championship, I think she's won it twice now, or maybe three times, I'm not sure. So she's a mountain runner. I'm an ultra runner. And then there's trail running, and trail running could be, you know, sub ultra trail or ultra trail. And so we're all kind of like tend to be grouped under the same umbrella. And I
Mhm.
mean, I don't know how it is in, you know, other countries and the perception and that sort of thing, but I think because we're often grouped under the same umbrella that there's this perception that we're all like the same
Okay.
Grayson Murphy runs like 10K up a mountain. So, and I go and run, you know, 100 miles or more. We are obviously very different athletes. Like
Yes.
I'm doing road racing, you know, on road and yeah, I mean she's doing, you know, very short, like almost a sprint, you know, up a mountain. But yeah, it's just crazy that, you know, I feel like there needs to be more recognition of the diversity of
Mhm.
athletes and our skill sets. I mean, we have completely different skill sets. And
Yeah.
so I mean, I often see like articles and polls that, you know, group me with Jasmine Paris or Courtney Dauwalter. And I'm like, they are completely different athletes than me. Like they are completely different skill sets. And I just feel like it's really I feel like there needs to be more done to make that distinction and to recognize us that, you know, we're not all the same. And I mean, I think about like with track and field. I mean, you got sprinters, you got middle distance, you got distance runners, you got throwers. And I feel like that there's maybe more of a recognition, that distinction. But yeah, mountain ultra trail, we just tend to all like be grouped under one umbrella. And I feel like it's important to recognize that we're all different athletes. And you know, it's kind of like saying it's kind of like grouping like mountain biking with road cycling. I mean, we know those are two different sports, so why would
Yeah.
you ever group those together? And so yeah, I mean, I think it's amazing like what other women do that have skills that, you know, are not my specialty, but just because we run an ultra and we go beyond the marathon doesn't mean that we're all the same athlete. Like we have so many different skill sets, and I just feel like the public and the media need to do more to recognize those skills and to not like kind of group us all together and act like we're all the same. And so yeah, this is something that I feel like I've recognized like more throughout my career. I'm like I think Jasmine Paris is amazing, and I mean she has like orienteering skills that I mean I have no idea how to do. But we're obviously not the same athlete, and but yeah, I mean I'm just as much a fan of everybody in the sport. And I mean I
Yeah.
geek out like following. I geek out. I mean I do trail running. Like I'm mainly an ultra runner, a road ultra runner. But at the same time, I'm a fan and I love like following what they're doing. And I'm like, well, maybe I could do that someday. But obviously that's a skill that she has that, took a lot of work and practice for her to develop. So
Yeah. So we're not going to see you at the Barclays anytime soon.
like everybody, that's the funny thing is I get asked, oh, Camilla, you should go try Barkley. And yeah, I mean, there's a curiosity that I have that I'm like, well, maybe I could do that. But at the same time, like those are skills that she has developed over a long period of time. And I mean, I can appreciate and respect that what she can do. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if she tried to do road ultra, I mean, it might be a very different experience for her. So, yeah, I mean, I think that there should be like that encouragement, that recognition of the diversity, and then also just the interest for maybe more ultra runners to cross over and to try the different sports. Because, I mean, for me, I came from a marathon and road ultra background, and I got into trail running, and I realized this is fun. Like,
It is. It's also slightly less painful, I think. I mean, certainly on
yeah.
the knees.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, like even in America, I mean, like everybody thinks like flat ultra, oh, flat is easy. And I'm like, no, no. I'm like running on a road or a track for 48 hours is like the most painful thing I've ever done.
I
But yeah,
can't. It's mind-boggling to do what you do. I mean, it is. It's going up mountains is easier because we all end up walking at one stage or another.
yeah, like you're kind of throttling your gears more when you're on the trails and going through aid stations. And yeah, I mean I finished like 100 miles on trail and I'm like bounced back in like 3 weeks. Whereas if I do 100-mile on road, it takes me like months to like recover from that. So I don't think people like appreciate and understand, especially in America, because the road ultras aren't as popular and not as common. And so like people like have these perceived ideas about what it's like. They think, oh, it's easy, it's just like running on flat. And I'm like, no, no, no. So I mean, I just want to encourage more people to like cross over and maybe gain some respect and appreciation that really, truly, it's all hard, like in its own ways.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
mean, for me, if I haven't done trail running and a lot of technical running in a while and I get on the trails, my legs are fumbling on me. It's like I feel like I'm like Bambi on ice, like when I do trail running.
Well, I suppose
So
it
I
is because
mean,
you're using different muscles, aren't you? In a way.
yeah.
I mean, obviously your motion is similar, but going up and down mountains and hills and on the trail, you're well on the road, you're just using the same muscles. It
It's
constantly it
repetitive.
doesn't change. It just doesn't change.
It's
That's where it's so hard. Whereas on
it's
the
so
mountain,
hard.
you're constantly changing, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah. And so I mean I've been crossing back and forth for the past 8 years between trail and road. And I mean I have to get my legs conditioned for road running. Like I have to do, a lot more flat running when I'm training for those events. And then when I cross back over to trail and depending on the technicality, I mean I have to specialize again, for that and get my legs used to it. So I mean it's hard. It's hard to be a diverse athlete and to go back and forth. But at the same time, I feel like that's helped me to have career longevity, that I'm not just specializing on one thing. I'm kind of diversifying my goals and what my body does. And that's helped me to stay healthy. So I definitely, some of my sheroes that I had in the sport were the athletes that came from the marathon and cross over into doing the trail running. And so they were able to diversify their goals and like to keep their careers going. And so so, yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lesson in that, you know, just not specializing on one thing, that, you know, crossing over, trying a lot of
Yeah.
different things, you know, I mean, it opens up the goals and the possibilities, but it also, you know, shifts your body to do something different, which is a good thing.
And variety is more interesting as well. I mean, it's, you know, you've got different goals and different aims to go for. I suppose with road ultras, I mean, do you think that there's not so many of them because it is just that much harder? I mean, I don't know what it's like in the US. There's certainly not that many in the UK.
Yeah, I think that there's like road ultra running is a globally diverse sport. And so like I'm a stats geek, and I there's a website called the DUV statistics.
Yeah.
And so you can break it down and, you know, look at where the largest ultras in the world are. And I mean, if you go to like South Africa or Japan, I mean, the largest ultras in the world are road ultras. And I mean, you know, having 22,000 entries at, you know, comrades versus, you know, UTMB, I think it's maybe just under 2,000. I mean, you know, road running is, it's more inclusive, it's more globally diverse. I mean, they're able to have bigger events on the roads versus the trails. And so I feel like there's this perception that trail running makes up, or ultra trail makes up the main part of the sport. But I feel like that there's more global diversity, and a completely different community in road ultra running versus trail running. And you know, the media and the public tends to focus more on trail running, and like, I mean, obviously it's like creates more beautiful pictures, I guess, you know,
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
it's a bit prettier than the road ultras are doing, you know, circles on a track. And so so yeah, I just feel like, you know, I'd love to see the public and the media focus more on those really competitive ultras in, you know, in South Africa and Japan. And I feel like for me as an athlete, like going to those events helps bring more visibility to road ultra running and to South Africa and Japan. I mean, there's like these gigantic like road 100Ks in Japan that I mean, I'd love to go race in Japan. I'd probably be like treated like a
Really?
rock star. So so yeah, I mean, I feel like, and I've really felt like throughout my career that, you know, I've seen that difference in the US, that there's more media, more public focused on trail running. And I'm like, you know, I want to change that. Like, I want to bring the spotlight back to these like massive, like competitive road ultras that, I mean, those are the races that have inspired me to get into the sport. And so yeah, I feel like I have a responsibility as an athlete to help bring more visibility to road ultras and to the diversity of ultra runners. And so so yeah, I mean, that's kind of my vision, you know, to keep going in my career. But at the same time, I mean, I love trail running as well too. You know, I see I'm just as much a fan, and I can see my career evolving more into trail running and trying to conquer these big mountains. So
Well, maybe I'm trying to think. I mean, certainly in the UK, logistically, putting on a road ultra would be so hard, just because you would you'd need to close the roads,
that's
and we
true.
simply
Yeah.
don't have the space. So I think, yeah, we certainly don't have many here. I'm trying to think. I mean, in the US, maybe you need to create one. Maybe you need to
Yeah.
start a new race and be Camille, the race director.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, like I'm sure, like you might have heard the London to Brighton,
Mhm.
that it was one of the most historical and long running ultras. I don't remember how long it went for, but basically they had to stop it because I guess of the it coincided with a highway and the difficulties of trying to shut down roads and the logistics of all that. So so yeah, even though like the biggest like road ultras are you know, have like 22,000, like, but at the same time, like you said, there's some barriers to putting on a road ultra because obviously it's really far, and how do you like shut down roads? So a lot of these ultras that these like small loops, usually like when I went to the Netherlands, it was a 10K loop that we had to do 10 times. And so like a lot of road ultras are like that. Like they're
Yeah.
kind of on these like small loop courses. And yeah, I mean they could be huge. Like I've done when I did Windshare, I don't remember how many were there, but yeah, I mean you're on a 10K loop and everybody's, you know, 10 times 10K on that loop. And yeah, so I mean there's like ways that, you know, to try and put on
Get
these
around it.
ultras.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did on these small loops.
That
So
that in a way also, I mean, you've got 100K, you've got 100K on the road, and then you've got 100K in loops. So in a way, you've got three separate challenges right there, haven't you?
yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Just as a
and
runner.
kind of like yeah, like I went to Greece and did Spartathlon back in September, and so that's
Congratulations, by the way.
thank you. Thank you. It was amazing. It felt to me, it felt like because it's on a point to point course as well, kind of like comrades. And
Mm.
so and yeah, I mean it's kind of like a, you know, it's like three times as far as comrades. It's kind of like an extended version of comrades. But to me, like Spartathlon kind of was like combining trail running with road ultra running. And I mean, it had, in fact, it had the mountain section that you have to go through, but I felt like I was on this journey. And, you know, kind of like you are when you do a trail race, like a point to point trail race, and you're kind of enjoying all these different sceneries and villages and like going through like a lot of diverse terrain. So for me, like Spartathlon was like the best of everything. It was so cool. It like I was like, this is it was really like truly like my dream race. Like I felt like it combined like everything I love about road ultra running with trail running. And yeah, I would say my most favorite part of the course was the mountain section where we had to climb the mountain in the dark, and it's very technical, and it had like a screw wall on the backside, and I'm like this is fun.
Is there something, do you think, is there something particularly special about doing a linear route that you really feel like you're going from A to B, you're doing that at your
Yes.
own pace, your own steam, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
something very back to basic and instinctual about it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've realized like in terms of like my favorite ultras, whether it's on trail or on road, I really like the ones that are more like a journey.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean you feel like you're going to a destination, and when you finally like arrive there, you're like, yeah, I did it. You know, it's so cool. But yeah, like I mean I've tried so many different types of ultras. I haven't done a Barkley marathons yet, but when I do like the track ultras or the small loop ultras, like you're mentally getting into your head, and it's like a meditative experience. And I mean it's so different than, you know, doing a point to point road ultra or trail race. And so yeah, for me, it's fun. It's fun to be challenged in different ways. And yeah, I mean, I encourage more athletes to do that. I've been trying to get my trail running friends to sign up for Spartathlon. So I'll be raving about that race forever.
Oh, but what about, what's it like running on the roads though? I mean, is it not, do you not feel a bit worried about being run over?
Oh my gosh, yes, yes. So my first experience at Spartathlon, so the first like 55 miles of that course is really kind of scary
Mm.
because you're in like highway, and they don't close off the roads, and so it's not like always like coned off.
Mm.
And the roads are kind of narrow, and you're going through these villages, and yeah, you're just trying to face traffic so that, you know, you can move if you needed to. But yeah, there was an incident my first Spartathlon back in 2022 where I was going past like a parking lot, and there was a sprinter van that tried to pull out, and he had his head turned one way, and here I come running by, and I couldn't see that he couldn't see me, and so before I knew it, he almost turned into me, and I had to it kind of threw me sideways. And I mean it was almost it felt to me, I've been in a car accident, and to me it felt like I was in a car accident, like I was just thrown sideways, and it kind of gave me some whiplash.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean that's scary. It was definitely really scary. And so I mean Spartathlon has its challenges like that where you're having to deal with cars or deal with dogs or I mean, you're going through all these villages and all these like off leash dogs come running at you.
Yeah,
And
I
so
heard that. I think I read someone else's blog, and the dogs that bark and rush up at you, that must be pretty scary too.
yeah, I mean, I like, I feel like I'm like a friendly dog person. Like I know how to deal with dogs, but I mean, if they're coming at you with their teeth and like you've got multiple dogs, like what do you do? So
No.
and there's like many. I mean, that's a crazy thing. Is I mean, there's whether you do a trail race or you do a road ultra, I feel like every race has its own challenges that you have to learn how to cope through. And yeah, I mean, it's a very different experience than like say the small loop ultras where you don't really have those sort of
No,
challenges.
no. And yeah,
But
and
yeah, I
just
mean, it's fun.
and just to I mean, just to be able to switch between that sort of external focus of, say, Spartathlon versus the internal focus of a track.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a that's a that's a skill set in itself, because a lot of people, myself included, would say, well, I can only do in the mountains. I need the distraction
Variety.
going, oh, look at that. Oh,
Exactly.
look at that. I would not be able to sit in my own head for 24 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I remember my first track ultra I did back in 2017. Like, so I was going for the 12-hour world record, and the first 30 minutes of that race, like I was like, I don't know if I can mentally do this. This is really kind of crazy, like just trying to figure out how to get into my head. And I had set up my watch to beep every 30 minutes to take a gel. And so like once like I kind of got into that routine of taking my watch beeping and taking my gel, like that kind of helped break it down mentally,
Okay.
that I wasn't thinking so much about like, oh, like being overwhelmed, by being on a track for that long. Like it kind of like I kind of ended up looking forward to, taking my gel every 30 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
find a
Yeah.
way to like keep yourself like entertained and to mentally break it down. So
Okay. Right. We've got 5 minutes left. I'd like to quickly ask you one last question. You mentioned earlier about the perimenopause. For all the other ladies out there of a certain age, of which I'm just beyond that now, what barriers have you come across? What challenges have you come across with your experiences? And have you got any advice for anyone to overcome them?
yeah, yeah, gosh. I mean, it's been a journey. I feel like every month and every day and every year has been like kind of a different experience. But yeah, I would say like the first signs that was experiencing was in my mid-30s, that I started seeing a decrease in my sleep quality. And I can reflect back now that I was those changes in sleep. I've started to feel like kind of more PMS experiences of just like mood shifts and energy, and like having days that I just felt really crappy. And I didn't make the connection to my period until about 3.5 years ago, where there were a couple of incidents like right before my period where I just felt like total crap. And like my sleep would be irritable, my mood would be like bad. And I mean, I'm a happy person, so for me to like be in a bad mood is like not normal. So when it kept happening like right before my period, and that was kind of when it like clicked in my head, like, oh, this is something with my hormones. And I didn't even know about perimenopause at that time. I mean, we're not thinking about menopause in our 30 or mid 30s,
No.
but yeah, I mean, there's this phase right before menopause where women's hormones get really weird. And yeah, last year was like a completely new like set of like experiences where I got like my period 3 times in 5 weeks. And I had basically what had happened was I had stopped my oral contraceptive for a period, and I went back on my oral contraceptive, and I started getting like spotting like 75% of every month. I was like spotting and cramping, and like just my periods were getting really weird. And I basically said, I don't think I can take my oral contraceptive anymore. Like, I think I need to make a change. So after trying my oral contraceptive for several months, I ended up getting off of that, and that was when my symptoms like completely went away. I stopped getting the spotting and the menstrual cramps. So you know, it just goes to show like how our bodies evolve with age and over time. And you know, what worked for us, you know, 5, 10, 20 years ago may not be what works for us now. And so yeah, I've had to, you know, make some changes in terms of like stopping my oral contraceptive. I've had to really work on my sleep and just trying to have like really, you know, behavioral changes to help my sleep and improve, you know, my sleep quality and quantity. And then just focusing on stress. Like, you know, people don't realize like all the stresses that I have as a professional athlete. Like, I mean, I travel a lot, I'm going to events, I'm speaking, and so I have stresses that, you know, are happening and I'm not necessarily thinking about them. And so I've had to really work on my mental health and trying to, you know, cope, trying to create boundaries and barriers, you know, and to try and protect my own mental health. And my husband and I have been going on more vacations. We've been trying to, you know, I'm obviously traveling a lot and I get kind of tired of traveling, but I need to go on like some personal time, like to like just chill out. And so yeah, we started doing that more last summer. And yeah, just focusing more on my mental health and trying to reduce stress has like made such a difference in my sleep quality and feeling more energized and yeah, better coping with all those symptoms around like just before my period and during my period. So
Oh, well, that's great advice, to be honest, for anyone, whether they're running or training or what. I mean, it's definitely reducing stress is one of the big ones.
totally.
I don't think we realize how long it takes for our hormones to do the adaptation from, you know, being fully functional to, you know, post menopause, so to speak. And
Yeah, it's a journey.
it's yeah, it really is. And yeah, you're at the beginning of it, I'm kind of at the end of it, and it's like, yeah, I'm still going. But
But yeah, I mean, I'm finding a way. You know, I don't feel as consistent, I guess, as you know I did 5, 10 years ago. So I don't feel as consistent, but I'm finding a way to feel my best. You know, at this age, I'm 42 now, and I'm finding a way to feel better, and you know, to continue to push my human limits. And yeah, I mean, most women, I know when I was approaching 40 that, you know, I thought I was on some sort of downhill slope in terms of my speed and my ability, but I found a way to level up, you know, in terms of improving my diet, my sleep. Like I work with other people around me that, you know, continue to help elevate me and continue to perform at my best. So you know, women are aging like fine wine. You know, we keep going. And yeah, I mean, I'm just grateful that I'm able to keep pushing my human limits. And I just want to be the best I can be at any age.
well, that in itself is inspirational, and
Thank you.
thank you. It gives us all yeah, it gives us all something to aim for, and to know that it, you know, it doesn't all end. We can still
When
be
you hit 40.
fantastic. And I'm
Totally.
yeah, and we're running out of time, so I'm going to say thank you very much again for talking to me.
Yeah, you're
It's been
welcome. It was
really
a
interesting.
great, yeah, it was a great brief interview. We covered a lot, so it was fun.
We like to keep it short and snappy. That's good.
Yeah,
All
awesome.
right.
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you so much, Camille. Glad you
Sure.
shared. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.